What is Gothic storytelling? It's something I've been thinking a lot about when I was writing the Master of Shearhaven, which is my book that's coming out August 23rd. It's a Gothic horror and a dark fantasy, and I'm very specific about which genres I've labeled it because I want to give a clear picture of what the book is as a whole. But one thing that's been really interesting to me lately is I've seen a couple different reviews of literature that is Gothic that sort of questions the Gothic nature of it, perhaps because it's not set in a more traditional setting or a more traditional time period. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about what Gothic is and isn't, and the perception of it and where it comes from. If I were to say, think of something that is Gothic, go. What is the first thing that pops in your head? For a lot of people, it might be Edgar Allan Poe, or it might be Wuthering Heights, or Jane Eyre, or Rebecca. Maybe you think of a movie like Crimson Peak, one of my personal favorites. Or maybe you think of Interview with a Vampire, which is Southern Gothic through and through. The truth is, there's a lot of different kinds of Gothic storytelling that's happened. And the reason for that is Gothic storytelling has been around a very long time. The very first work to use the actual term Gothic was Horace Walpole's The Castle of Otranto. And it's kind of funny how that came about because when he called it Gothic, he was really trying to pass it off as a medieval manuscript. So that's why he called it Gothic. He was saying it was of that time. In fact, readers got upset when they later found out in the second edition that he wrote it. And the reason for that is because it was a tale of the supernatural in a time of rationality. The Castle of Otranto was published in 1764. To give you a little bit of historical perspective on that, that's about a year after the end of the English Civil War and the Jacobite Rebellion. And the popularity of Gothic literature at this time, into like the 1790s, or when it was really, really popular, is often attributed to the fact of this deep sort of collective memory that resulted from the trauma of that. At this time, Gothic literature was about combining the supernatural with characters who felt realistic. Now, like every genre that's been around for a very long time, the idea of Gothic literature has evolved a great deal, and it's expanded, it's exploded into many, many different subgenres. It went through a period where it was represented by penny dreadfuls, which were a lot of ambiance, a bit of luridness, and maybe not much else. We can see it, of course, in some of the keystones of the horror genre, like Edgar Allan Poe, like Mary Shelley and Frankenstein. Two subgenres like Southern Gothic, American Gothic, Maori Gothic, Australian Gothic, Mexican Gothic. There's all kinds of Gothic storytelling. Because we've had Gothic storytelling that was melodramatic, we've had Gothic storytelling that was searing and very realistic. We've had Gothic story in comic books. We've had Gothic romances. We've had all this kind of storytelling all bound together in this idea of Gothic. So what is that? To me, really, at this point, the only touchstones of Gothic storytelling are the aesthetics. And I think those aesthetics can be transferred and are transferred all the time to all kinds of time periods, to all kinds of different storytelling. My novel, The Master of Shearhaven, starts with probably the most traditional sense of what Gothic literature is, and that is the scary house on the hill. Now, it transports that to Illinois and America in the post-Civil War era to start with, but the essential aesthetics are there. There's a foreboding house, there's supernatural things going on, and there is a certain eeriness and creepiness and a sense of something beyond the rational. But the Master of Shearhaven doesn't stay in the post-Civil War era. It moves on to modern times, 2024, in the post-pandemic era. And there's a reason why I've done this. And it's one of the things to me that's actually a cornerstone of Gothic storytelling that hasn't always been followed. And that is that Gothic storytelling has some sort of philosophical bent. It has some sort of emotional resonance. That goes all the way straight back to its origins with the English Civil War. As you might be able to guess, there's a reason why I set it in post-Civil War America and in the modern day in our post-pandemic world. Because on the surface, the Master of Shearhaven is a creepy, supernatural tale in the Gothic tradition. But as part of the Gothic tradition, it really does explore the lives of people trying to pick themselves up after these sort of massive collective traumas. And to me, that's really the important philosophical core of the book. And all of this is to create a Gothic story that has layers, because that's the kind of Gothic storytelling that I love the most. That, yes, is about the vibes. It is about Gothic, creepy, supernatural vibes, the things I love so much. But if it was all vibes, like when something is all vibes, I can like that. I can get into it. But I'm always kind of just hungry for something else that I can sink my teeth into. And whether you want to or not is up to you. Enjoy the Master of Shearhaven on a purely surface level. And I think a lot of Gothic storytelling does operate that well, where it's just creepy and scary and you don't really know what's going on. Things aren't over explained because there is this element of mystery. And when it comes to Gothic storytelling, which deals with ghosts and death and decay of all kinds, of decay of people, decay of societies, decay of norms, and all of that really is rooted in our fears as human beings. Our fear of death, our fear of change, our fear of our own transience, our own brief lives, our lack of legacy. I hope that this has given you an idea of Gothic storytelling. It just started thundering. That is not a sound effect I added. Thanks, ambiance. I hope that you've enjoyed this tale of Gothic storytelling and what it means to me. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Do you agree with me, disagree with me? And I hope you will check out the Master of Shearhaven. Pre-orders launch very soon. You can sign up for ARCs if you want to try it out right now at johnwesleyhuff.com/ARCs.